When I was a child, you always heard people talk about the end is coming. The end was coming before I was born. You know, everyone was always talking about the end coming. And so that brought about a certain type of fear, you know. But as I got older, I started realizing that, yo, I want the end to come. And then I realized as I became a farmer, like, the end is not a bad thing, right? Because I know that the world will heal herself. That's what I do know. Whether we act right or not, she's going to make sure she's sustainable and she's going to heal herself. She's powerful, right? So with that being said, the end is more like if you take a house and revamp it, or if you take a house and remodel it, you know? So how I feel now, because I do feel like we living in the end of a time, right? I feel like being a farmer and the kind of work that I do, I am a part of this remodeling. You know, whether I lay the floors or I'm laying the tiles or I'm, you know, putting the drywall in, you know, however you would see what I do, I'm a part of the remodeling of the world, you know, and that's how I see it.
I'm black and from the South, the real South. You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to no other parts of the South that are now heavily populated by Yankees. But so I feel like there's this way in which I have not only inherited but grown up that I think is kind of part of the African experience, period, in North America, with a sense of my back is always up. Always. Always, 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 always. There's not a moment, I'm not exaggerating. I don't know. I think I have to say this is for the camera though, for those who might be watching who don't share this reality. There's always in the sneak, a little bit in the back of your mind that the world isn't completely safe. You know, and I don't know how much of that is just a human experience, but I know that a portion of that definitely feels very specific to my African experience. So in that way, I like to think that, you know, that's almost like a little bit of a antidote. You know how you build up. You know how you know, the Princess Bride. You remember that he took a little bit of poison. He took a little bit that when he took the full dose, it didn't impact him because he'd already inoculated himself to it. You know, so there's this way in which that, you know. So I come from a people who have gone through disaster after disaster after disaster with no help coming, as my mother used to say.
I think like seeing the distribution of wealth as it is, and I'm excited to, like, if the power did go out, like how wealth would like a hammer would be more valuable than $1 million. Like things would, like, purpose would be reestablished, and like value in things that are actually like useful with your hands.
So where I would go to if the lights went out and there was no power is a good friend of mine who actually survived through Hurricane Katrina. And she is a person that carries the disaster bag with her everywhere she goes, like has a tent on top of her car and like knows connection points. And like, I think some people would see that as like, you're like over prepared. Like you don't need all of that. But to her, it's like real.
Yeah.
You know, like that happened. She was in those situations where she had nowhere else to go. So I feel like that person in particular is who I would go to. Maybe a 3. I think I'm trying to work on that. I think one of the things I think about a lot is like, what would my skill be in like an apocalyptic world? And my background is in cooking, so I'm like, okay, like I can like prepare food, like I can start fires, like things like that. But yeah, as far as like, I don't have any disaster preparedness things in my apartment. But luckily, which is interesting, the place we work is actually very disaster prepared and was set up and constructed to like withstand like harsh weathers and things like that. So I would probably go there.
I was if we could get out there, it'd be great. I have to cross a major river to get there, so that might be problematic. But if we could get out to the farm, it'd be great.
Yeah, if we get to the farm, it'd be like a 7.5. We'd be pretty good on the farm.